Now on the National Weather Desk, atmospheric river. Week-long rain brings good and bad to the Pacific Northwest.
The plants need it. We need it. It's a nice change.
Oh, hell. Massive hailstones caused significant damage across central Texas.
It sounded like somebody was hitting our house with a baseball bat.
Water worries. Too much salt in the Mississippi River could cause big problems for New Orleans drinking water.
A saltwater wedge from the Gulf of Mexico will push upriver.
Pumpkin shortage. How weather extremes can make it harder to find that Halloween gourd.
This is probably the driest year we've had in about the past 20 years.
And what are flamingos doing on Wisconsin beaches? You can blame the weather.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence, and it happened because of this unusual coincidence.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. The first atmospheric river of the season is bringing lots of rain to the Pacific Northwest. It's the first significant rainfall for Seattle since May. As Jackie Ken explains, the rain is welcome, but it comes with the warning.
I really love the rain. There's nothing better than a gray, rainy day.
Slick roads and wet pavement. A welcome relief for many Seattleites and visitors after a long, hot summer.
The plants need it. We need it. It's a nice change.
No major issues were reported on city roads, with the exception of a downed tree in Bellevue. But a warning on the highways. State Patrol says troopers in King County have responded to nearly 80 crashes in just over a day. Looking ahead to a wet week, some are hopeful that the rain could extinguish Western Washington's wildfire season. Still, people should be mindful of recent burn scars that are susceptible to debris flows.
Lots of fires, so I think about the firefighters.
As raindrops pound the pavement, some say this is the Seattle they've been waiting for.
Oh, you look around at all of the beautiful trees and all the flowers, and we wouldn't have that if we didn't have the rain.
The atmospheric river is also bringing rain to Northern California. That's good news for firefighters battling wildfires. But as Sophie Lincoln explains, it could also trigger mudslides.
As firefighting crews continue to make progress on the Smith River complex, a new storm system is expected to help with these efforts.
When the weather gets cool, it reduces fire activity, and we always appreciate that. When the wet weather comes down, we appreciate it even more because it even reduces the fire even more.
But while current conditions are beneficial to the overall effort, they also pose a threat of their own.
Now you're getting a problem with rock slides and debris flows and safety for the firefighters that are out there on the scene.
Meanwhile, U.S. Highway 199, which runs directly through the fire's burn scar, may also see some impacts from the storm, as it opens up the potential for mudslides and other debris in the roadway.
But we do have monitors 24/7 keeping an eye on those slopes. So as the storm changes and the conditions change, they continue to watch that closely and make sure that, we have the highway open when it is safe to be open.
And people around Austin, Texas are still cleaning up this morning after a severe hailstorm rocked the region Sunday night. Baseball-sized hail broke car windows, damaged homes, and even battered solar panels. Betty Cross says it was a storm residents here won't soon forget.
The rain was welcome. The hail, not at all. This is video taken just as the hail started to fall in Austin's Mueller neighborhood.
It was terrifying. It was the hail was so loud, and it sounded like somebody was hitting our house with a baseball bat.
The baseball-size hail took out the back windshield of this car and damaged many others. The ice chunks also did a 1-2 punch on neighborhood roofs and solar panels. Many never thought they'd see hail big enough to do this kind of damage.
It was the size of my palm. A couple of ice sizes as big as my palm.
Roofing experts say solar panels are designed to withstand the worst storms.
This was a real freaking big deal.
But these panels weren't a match for what hit the Mueller community overnight.
Solar panels are pretty gnarly. They're very springy too, so they absorb quite an impact before they break. And this is catastrophic is the correct word to use.
This is the damage to the screens.
Helen Walker knows it will take a lot longer to replace her window screens that have holes the size of the hail that tore through them.
The house actually shook. It was as if someone had unloaded a truckload of bowling balls that dropped on top of the roof.
Tracking the tropics this morning, we are still watching a few systems in the Atlantic. Tropical storm Philippe is still spinning in the Atlantic. At this point, it's not a threat. There is also a disturbance in the eastern Atlantic. It bears watching, but is not a threat in the near future. So with just over 2 months left in hurricane season, let's take a look at where we stand this morning. So far, there have been 16 named storms in the Atlantic. NOAA's final forecast called for 14 to 21 named storms this season. Colorado State University's final projection was for 18 named storms. Overall, there have been 6 hurricanes, but only Idalia made landfall in the U.S. By the way, the next storm will be named Rena, followed by Sean, Tammy, Vince, and then Whitney. After that, the Greek alphabet will be used just like it was in 2020. With fall officially here, many of you are eagerly awaiting the colors of fall foliage. Here are the current regional reports according to the Fall Foliage Report website. Let's start in the Northeast, where low colors are now showing in northern New England, New York, and Pennsylvania. In the Mid-Atlantic region, colors are starting to show in parts of Virginia and also West Virginia. Plenty of colors showing in the Midwest, with the best colors in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan's UP. It's still early in the Southeast, so there's still nothing to see really up there, but same is the case in the Southwest, with the exception of northern New Mexico. And there are big time colors showing in the Rocky Mountains, as well as Washington and the Sierra Nevada mountains. And now to Louisiana, and a threat that they have not seen since the late 1980s. A saltwater wedge could reach New Orleans by late October, threatening the drinking water supply for thousands of people. Laura Geary explains it's all caused by extreme drought.
The mighty Mississippi, weakened by months of blistering heat and low rainfall, now vulnerable to a new threat, saltwater intrusion.
We don't believe that there's sufficient precipitation in the near term anywhere along the Mississippi River to materially change the conditions for the better.
With no significant rain relief in sight, experts say a saltwater wedge from the Gulf of Mexico will push upriver and could mix with drinking water systems in places like New Orleans. To mitigate the risk, Louisiana officials and the Army Corps of Engineers will start delivering millions of gallons of fresh water to at-risk treatment facilities from plants located above the saltwater wedge.
That water then can be combined with water at the treatment facilities to create a mixture that is safe for treatment.
Engineers also plan to add 25 feet to an existing underwater levee, or sill, designed to slow the saltwater wedge's progression north temporarily.
Without significant rain in the immediate future, the augmented saltwater sill will too be overtopped.
Louisiana's governor declared a state of emergency to tap federal assistance earlier this month and announced plans to send shipments of bottled water to New Orleans.
We're going to do everything we can to make sure that we're bringing every resource to bear that is reasonably necessary to help us deal with this challenge.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Well, you probably know that unless a deal is reached in Congress, the federal government will shut down this Sunday. The good news is that the National Weather Service would continue to offer life-saving forecasts, watches, and also warnings. Public activities and tours, including NOAA and the National Weather Service, would likely be canceled or at least postponed. It's unclear what would happen at the national parks. In past shutdowns, trash piled up, toilets overflowed, and some visitors vandalized the parks. Northern Lights displays over the next 18 months could be among the most spectacular in decades. The reason? There have been more sunspots than previously predicted. The lights are already on display. These images were taken in Fairbanks, Alaska, and even northern Indiana. Scientists say if more sunspots continue to appear, we'll see better displays through the end of next year. Not only that, but the aurora borealis could be visible more frequently and further south than usual. And And coming up on the National Weather Desk, flamingos spotted for the first time in Wisconsin. We'll tell you what brought them there, and you meet someone who wants to elevate the voices of other women in the storm-chasing community when we come back.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. We have a very nice stretch of weather on the way in the Northeast in the coming days. 60s to near 70 degrees will do it for most towns today. Parts of southern New England may have a hard time getting out of the upper 50s due to some more clouds here. Greatest chance for a shower will be northern New Jersey. Perhaps southern parts of New York as well. This is 2 o'clock in the afternoon today. Skies will be brightest throughout northern New England. Just about everyone in the Northeast sees a mostly sunny sky on Wednesday with highs around 70.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region, starting off with temperatures in the 50s and potentially some low to mid-60s south. But as we head into the afternoon on Tuesday, not a whole lot better. Maybe a little bit warmer as you head down toward Richmond, and especially up and over the Appalachians. Otherwise, another kind of cool and clammy day. Could see some spot shower sprinkles from the remnant moisture from Ophelia. That's our latest weather maker, potentially clearing as we head toward midweek. That's the scene here.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast highs for the day. It's going to be a hot one in Nashville, 90 degrees, 92 in Tupelo, Birmingham about 87, 76 in Raleigh with a little bit of cloud cover and spotty showers, Jacksonville 85, 89 in West Palm. It looks like we have a little bit of a stalled out front that's across parts of the area. It's going to help fire up a little bit of showers and thunderstorms through the afternoon, especially over parts of Florida and southern Georgia. A little bit of clouds will stick around through the Carolinas, keeping temperatures in check.
Watching the National Weather Desk.
It's a sight never seen before in Wisconsin. Several flamingos were spotted on Lake Michigan beaches during the weekend. Lexi Schroeder has more on how these tropical visitors found their way to America's Dairyland.
On the final day of summer, 5 flamingos were seen taking a dip on the shores of Lake Michigan in Port Washington.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence, and it happened because of this unusual coincidence.
Stanley Temple, professor of wildlife ecology at UW-Madison, says this is the first time a wild American flamingo has been sighted in Wisconsin. He says the main breeding area for flamingos is down near the Gulf of Mexico around the Yucatan Peninsula in western Cuba.
It just so happened while the birds were on the move, flying over the Yucatan Strait, that open water between Cuba and the Yucatan, that the hurricane came through.
Temple says Hurricane Idalia's strong winds pushed the birds north,
eventually making landfall in the U.S. And then, again, with tailwinds, it brought them up into the Ohio Valley region and eventually all the way to Lake Michigan and Wisconsin.
There was another apparent sighting of a flamingo right here at Menasha's Dam over the weekend, but that sighting still has yet to be confirmed. Fox 11 reached out to the flamingo spotter for an interview. He denied, but gave permission to use the photo.
There's a little bit of controversy over the authenticity of that, and maybe some details still that need to come to light. And even if it was legitimate, it was only present for a very short time and then not seen again.
Ryan Brady, conservation biologist with the Wisconsin DNR, says flamingos have been seen in at least 12 states like Ohio, Indiana, and Pennsylvania over the last month.
Never before have we seen dozens or hundreds of them that have moved into the eastern United States.
Flamingos aren't the first rare bird sighting in Wisconsin this year. In July, a roseate spoonbill was spotted at the Ken Ewers Nature Area in Green Bay. Before this summer, the bird was last seen in the state 178 years ago.
Storm chasing has gained popularity in recent years thanks to social media. It's an action-packed and sometimes dangerous lifestyle, a lifestyle dominated by men. But one woman is making it her mission to change that. Meteorologist Emily Gracie sat down with the founder of the organization called Girls Who Chase to find out how she is elevating female voices in the storm chasing community.
What I was noticing as I was out chasing with folks is my male chase partner would, get great engagement, pats on the back for his great storm chasing decisions, media sales, et cetera, that were just kind of, from my perspective, falling into his lap. And I was getting crickets. The chaser that I was out with the most and noticing this with the most started chasing at the same time I did. He was side by side with me on the same storms. Our content looked very similar. Then I started to talk with other female storm chasers who, in many cases, reflected similar experiences and realized that there was actually an issue here.
I want to ask about Girls Who Chase and kind of how that was born and how you created this and then how it's grown since then.
I launched an Instagram page. That's all it started as, called Girls Who Chase, and was almost immediately blown away by the feedback I received, which was overwhelming and positive and lots of excitement. And in a very short period of time, started to receive submissions from all over the world.
Is there anything in the storm chasing world that you generally see women doing better or more successful at?
I actually think one of the limiting factors for women in storm chasing relative to content production is our sense of our own mortality. And what I mean by that is things that sell, things that go viral in the storm chasing community are close range intercepts of tornadoes, destroying your windshield in hail, damage. What I have noticed that women do better, and you see it on our Instagram page, is find the beauty in weather.
To hear more from Jen about storm chasing, including her experience shooting the Mauna Loa volcano from a helicopter, check out this week's episode of our podcast, Off the Radar. It was just released this morning. Find it anywhere you listen to your podcast. Now that we're heading into fall, the sun is rising later and setting earlier, and less sunlight could have a big impact on your mood. It's a type of depression related to the change in season. Less sunlight can affect your body's internal clock, regulating cycles of alertness and also sleepiness. The good news here is that these symptoms often resolve themselves during the spring and summer months. So what can we do in the meantime? The easy answer: get outside more and keep your blinds in your home open. If that doesn't work, you can add light therapy with special lamps.
What's called light boxes or light box lamps. And if you use it for 30 minutes in the morning, while you're drinking coffee, reading the newspaper, eating breakfast, that can simulate actually being exposed to regular sunlight.
So I have a question for you. Are we talking about this?
Yes, that is exactly it. They come in boxes like that, or they come in sort of like lamps. So
I use this in my office and also works very well for Zoom interviews.
Oh, well, if you find yourself craving more bread and pasta this time of year, you can blame the season. When your body's natural clock gets thrown off, it can impact sleep, your metabolism, and also your appetite. And you may want more comfort foods. Seasonal affective disorder and clinical depression share some of the same symptoms. Depending on where you live, you may want to start thinking about getting that Halloween pumpkin sooner rather than later. Some places are seeing a pumpkin shortage thanks to the weather. Andrea Snowdy has more on how dry spells and heavy rain are taking a toll.
Here at Strite's Orchard, the farmer says the heavy rain causes the most challenges for his pumpkin crop. Farmer John Strite says he prefers the dry climate as opposed to heavy rain to avoid flooding his pumpkin crop. That's because he has a reliable irrigation system that consistently waters his crops. However, many farmers without a reliable irrigation system face the opposite problem. They find the dry season to be more challenging to navigate.
For me, this is probably the driest year we've had in about the past 20 years. But it's funny because if you go north of us, like up by Berwick, they said it's one of the wettest years they've ever had. So it's, you know, the dichotomy of Pennsylvania weather, I guess.
Strite says that he is lucky enough to have grown enough pumpkins for this season, but that isn't the case for everyone, with farmers up north facing challenges to meet their demand.
One farmer might have got a plentiful harvest this year, and they're not worried about it at all. So whereas, you know, a different farmer might be lacking a little bit. So definitely in some areas you might see a little bit of a price increase.
If you celebrate Halloween and are looking to decorate your home for the fall, I'd carve out the time to start looking for your pumpkins now before they're all gone.
And as we head to break, enjoy this view of a train traveling near mountain fall leaves. We'll be right back.
Good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. Dealing with some scattered showers and thunderstorms as we continue into the next few days here. That's going to slowly drift its way more to the east and southeast. So for the day tomorrow, a lot of 60s and 70s, getting up to 90 there in Wichita. That rain continues drifting its way into the Ohio Valley on Thursday, while most of the Midwest, or at least the rest of it, warming up and drying out.
Good Tuesday morning to you. Meteorologist Chris Suchet. Look at our forecast today across the region, and we'll keep an eye out South Texas and along the Gulf Coast in Louisiana for a couple of showers or a thunderstorm as we round out the day with a very weak frontal boundary draped across the southern part of the region. Otherwise, sunny skies, 80s and low 90s, North Texas, Oklahoma, and Little Rock. Here's Wednesday's forecast, 60s and 70s into the morning, slight rain chance near the Gulf. Otherwise, it is a dry day with 80s and 90s Wednesday afternoon.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Tuesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, we've got a lot of heat in the Four Corners region, right back into the triple digits around Phoenix. But in the PNW, it's like somebody flipped a switch right when we went into autumn. Cool and very rainy from Seattle through Portland. Reason being, this is the big weather maker, a double-barreled area of low pressure rolling into the west coast, sending heavy amounts of rain into the Emerald and the Rose cities again into Tuesday. And that's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
These are known as Kelvin-Helmholtz waves. Spotted in Bristol, Virginia, it's a rare phenomenon where clouds produce a billowing wave pattern. They appear when there's strong vertical speed shear between two air streams. And this is what we call a perfect mackerel sky. The rows of cirrocumulus clouds display a rippling pattern similar to fish scales, hence the name.
Listen to Off the Radar. New episodes every Tuesday. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
Rain, rain, go away, something many children and even some adults may chant when rain showers ruin outdoor fun. But should we want all those raindrops to scatter? Darren Zahn explains how rain can help us breathe better.
You may have heard that when the rain moves in, it can actually clean the air that we breathe, but exactly how does that work? According to scientists at MIT, when raindrops are falling from the sky, on the surface of those drops, they can attract particulates, things like soot, sulfates, or even pollen. That means when the rain comes to the ground, it brings with it those pollutants, making the air cleaner to breathe and can also even cut down on your allergies.
And before we go, a quick note that today is the 1-year anniversary of the National Weather Desk. We thank you for watching over the past year as well as today and hope you will return every weekday at this time. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow.